Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, episode 19. Just keep rolling. I am your host, Ed Horne, and alongside me tonight, my partner in crime and gaming, one Mr. Chad Brown. Chad, how's it going?
Hey, everybody.
And the show would not be complete if we were not four. And our fourth, of course, is one Mr. Sean Dorcy. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing?
Good, Ed. How you doing?
And our producer extraordinaire and still on my naughty list, one Mr. Kris Sheriff. Kris, how's it going, my friend?
Good, thanks, Ed. I'm looking forward to this bit.
And we are sponsored tonight by Uncle Mike's Worldwide Productions, who are responsible for a game called Von Uschenspreckenlichen Kulten. Did I get it right? Close enough.
No, you were so good before when we did the
I
training.
did. Von Uschenspreckenlichen Kulten.
It's closer.
Close
These
enough.
sorts
Closer.
roll off the tongue.
Closer. And of course, Kris, you're going to give us a little info on that game.
Yeah, so it was a game that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago where I was involved with Kickstarter and made the silly commercial thing. So we have one of the war bands, quotes, I suppose, to give away. It comes in a cool
Nice.
VHS case. So we have the Arcane Seekers, which are like some mad scientist fanatic people. And then we have a actual physical copy of a rule book. So we only have 200 of these printed. We have number 189.
That's
And,
awesome.
Yeah, I said I'd be able to show you my name was in it. It's good.
Aw, so you
Nice.
can actually see Chris's name in that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And just for those who don't know, it is a skirmish-based miniatures game based loosely in the Lovecraftian kind of Call of Cthulhu kind of thing.
Yeah, it's basically it's really good fun. Small scale miniature skirmish game, kind of like Necromunda, but much
Ooh.
more fun and like laid back. Shall we say? It's definitely a mature gamers game rather than a Games Workshop kids type game. It's really good fun. I'm pretty proud of the work we did on it. I only did little bits outside of the production for the commercials and stuff like that, but I'm really proud of it. It's really good fun to play. So
And
whoever
there's
wins,
a commercial out there with you singing a jingle. Just throwing that out there.
It's not me. It's actually I can't remember the guy's name. It's actually a professional rock star who does like
Ooh.
black metal or
Oh.
death metal. Mike got this guy to sing him a jingle. Yeah, so
That's awesome.
I just produced a video to go with it, so I had to like get Mike's little girl to sing her line and like record it, edit it all together, and produce fire effects and stuff like that. It was pretty challenging, but good fun. Well
Oh,
worth
lots
it.
of fun. Anyway, on to the contents of the show tonight. We've had our first system open post points change in Toronto, and there may have been a little bit of controversy that came out of that particular event, so we are going to discuss that. We have seen the Sith Infiltrator, at least some of it, and we're going to kind of be discussing that in the news as well. Super excited with that ship. I'm really interested to hear what everyone has to say about that one. And of course, we still have listener submitted questions and a list to kind of go over in the end of the show. So all of that and a lot more is going to be coming up right after this.
If you like coats, this game has coats. Just buy a coat.
I painted mine green.
Then find a friend who also likes coats. Then you can fight coats.
Monster in the spell.
Madness and death, so fun to play. You can fight coats every day. So if you like coats, we can play coats. Von Unausbrecklichen Kulten.
Von Unausbrecklichen Kulten, the game of cultish chaos. Despite what this video implies, this game should not be played by boys or girls under the age of 18. And probably not by human beings at all. Don't say we didn't warn you.
If you like coats, we can play coats. Von Unausbrecklichen Kulten.
All right, we're back, and in the flight deck, we're going to cover over the squads we've been flying, events we've been doing, or preparing to go to in some cases. So, Sean, I think I'm going to start with you. What have you been flying lately, my friend?
I'd actually got a quick practice game in with my son Sunday. So I just flew my 3 bounty hunters and had fun and died really fast because I had the worst dice in a while. And I think out of a lot of green dice, I might have rolled two with paint. And So it's kind of like your game the other
I was
night.
gonna say I have proof. I have mathematical proof that my dice were shit. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Other than that, I haven't flown much, and it wasn't a spectacular game on my part, and we really weren't playing. I was trying to figure out flying, a different way to fly in different formations, and I actually kind of put myself in some really good shots, but just not enough that were adequate. And
So
we
you're still
flew,
flying. You're still flying the 3 naked bounty hunters, correct?
correct. Yeah, that's what I'll fly for a while. I have no want right now to fly anything else. If I did, it would be a list that people will see on stream at some point. When we play our games. So
No, spoiler alert. It looks like generic pilots might still be good in X-Wing. Just throw that out there.
as long as they're positioned right and you get some decent dice, I think that they're still viable. I like the three fire sprays because you're getting potentially 9 dice, attacks a turn. They have decent enough if you can roll good, decent defense. They're survivable. And it's a 30 hit point list. So
Yeah, you've got a lot of hull and shield to shoot through on
Yeah.
on that list.
and I also like it too that they moved it to a medium base. I think it's more of a practical. Though then giving it the 1 turns was just like the ultimate
Oh
thing.
God, yeah. How are you adjusting to the size change on the bases? How are you feeling about that? I have yet myself to fly a medium based ship, so I'm kind of curious.
Not there yet, but I'm getting better with it. I was so used to the Falcon 1 turn on the large base, and it's still I undershoot a lot actually. Where you would think someone might overshoot a little bit. I'm undershooting what I think my positioning will be. So, but it'll get better. When you think about it, 1 turns were base edge. Now these exceed base edge, so now it's a little bit different. And it just takes time. It takes time, takes practice, and I think by the time that the Omaha hyperspace trials comes to fruition, the first one, if my back will hold up, I might try to fly in that. That'll be difficult though. The fracture that I have in my spine might make that a little impossible to stand for 16 hours. I can't bend over like I used to, so so there might be some difficulty with that, and I may wait till next year's hyperspace trials to really jump back in and like play large tournaments like that.
We can play on Vassal until your back's healed, man.
Yeah, it'll be about.
Yeah, you could sit down with a heating pad on those games.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, Kris, I'm going to kick it over to your direction. Aside from our games, what have you been flying lately?
And so I was flying. So I joined the Vassal League, the one that Bob used to fly in. In fact, he still does. He's still in Deep Core, so I assume he still plays on there. And I
didn't realize that was still up and running.
So they're at a new season. The sign-ups were like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, why not? I've started playing. If I'm playing you guys on Vassal, I might as well. So I managed to play one of my league games on that, and I used the same list I used against you, which was the Darth Vader fire control system and afterburners. Duchess with crackshot, pure Sabak with crackshot, and then Wampa, and a 9-point bid. And I was playing against a relatively interesting list. It was a bounty hunter with Tobias. So it was a bounty hunter with Tobias, a L3 escape pod for the coordinate with a tactical officer.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, for the white coordinates. Then Captain Seavor and Fenro. Some upgrades scattered across there, but nothing that really affected the game. Other than Tobias moving the rock, I thought I'd been really clever because I pulled all of the rocks across my own deployment, so he couldn't just throw a rock in front of one of the lanes I wanted to move down. But then he dragged one of the rocks back, so it kind of, with the engage I had planned, wasn't going to work because he'd moved it from a position where I was going to fly around it to a position where it kind of wasn't ideal. I didn't hit it or anything like that. It was still like turn 3 of the engagement. I was like, I really wish that rock was where I put it. So
So it was enough to be an annoyance.
yeah, it forced. Again, I don't know that he knew that it was going to be important, but where I deployed Pure Sabak, I was planning to swing around the side and bring like the main part of my force in, and then just run away with Wampa. So he set Fenro up to joust Wampa, and so yeah, okay, that TIE fighter's running, and I ended up with the aileron moves and stuff like that. I ended up bumping slightly onto the back of Pure Sabak, so I couldn't turn in as much as I wanted to the turn before, because then I would have hit the rock this turn. I was like, well, it's better to hit a ship than the rock. So I took the gamble, and it did just clip. So hey ho, it wasn't too big of a deal. But it was a big deal because it put me just out of range, like millimeters out of range of the shot on the bounty hunter. So it took me. I missed out on the shot there because I blocked myself. So pretty poor. Should need to get better. I
Just fly better.
I traded Vader for damage on 3 of his ships. I ignored Fen in the early game. See, like I say, he'd set up on the wing to come around and try and like chase Wampa. So I knew I had like 3 good turns before Fen was in the fight. So I just threw Vader, Duchess, and Pure at the rest of his list. Managed to do like 5 damage onto the bounty hunter, 2 damage onto L3, and another 1 damage onto Sevar in like the first 2 turns. I couldn't concentrate all of my fire because of the arcs and the way we were the bounty hunter pretty well. He jumped over me when I was expecting to try and block Vader. So I'd planned a really intricate leapfrogging move with all of my different initiative ships, which was then wasted because he just flew over the top of me anyway. So I was like, yeah,
All that planning and nothing.
yeah, okay. So it's one of those, I run on the theory of you've got to plan for your opponent to do the move that is going to, like, pardon my French, but going to fuck you the most. And the way I did it, I wasn't massively screwed, but I gave him a choice of you can shoot Pure Sabak, who's got an evade token because it wasn't shooting. You've got the target lock on Duchess already, but I'm now at range 3. Or you can take a shot at a tokened up Vader at range 2. So he took the shots at Vader, and I rolled some blanks. Vader died. Oh well, sad times. At least he outputted some damage. He shot like 2 or 3 times and still managed to do like 4 or 5 damage. So I wasn't too disappointed. Even flying against Fen with Fen moving last, I was quite confident that I could trap him with the strikers with their aileron moves and being unpredictable enough. And that's how the game went. I managed to clean up the rest of his ships, and it was just Wampa, Pure Sabak, and Duchess against Fenro. I did make a pretty critical mistake of banking in with Pure Sabak because I was like, oh, I could probably get the range 1 shot with 5 dice to be awesome. But because I'd blocked Fen, I was pretty confident I was going to block Fen with Wampa. And like Wampa did this like 3 or 4 turns on the trot of like blocking him. But then obviously he just rolled natural 4 hits, and then Pure Sabak was like, yeah, okay, sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm dead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Then it was a case of me trying to keep him blocked and get shots at, like, ideally at range 2. But he took the blocks pretty well. It took him like 3 turns to get out. Then he'd K-turn and come back around, and I'd start the whole process again because as soon as he's stressed, it's really easy to predict where he's going to be. But I don't know if I got lucky or not because I shot him like 3 or 4 times, and I'd done 1 damage previously at a decent engagement. We had a couple of ships shooting at him, but I had Duchess behind him at range 1 like 3 or 4 times, and I just couldn't get any damage with Concordia and everything, and that's what Fen does. And then I finally got him. I knew he was going to K-turn, so I just lined up Wampa and and Duchess. Got the focus tokens on them both. and it's like you can only shoot one of them. I'm gonna get my shots on you, and so he shot at Wampa, didn't kill him, and then Duchess got like 3 hits and he blanked out. So I was like, yep, okay, that was the game.
Yay!
So it was good. It was a good game. I did a lot of blocking and decent aileron moves. I only messed it up once, which was I should have boosted straight rather than boosted in with pure Sabak. Because then the shots at range 2 rather than Fen with fearlessness. Fen with fearless at range 1, rolling 5 dice, converting 1 blank, having his focus not yet. That was just stupid. So
So, do you want to talk real quick about the Vassal League, how it works? Because if for new audience members,
I would if I knew.
oh, you joined in just to play games.
Yeah, so they're still working on like how you report the games and stuff like that. But effectively, you get put into a division, and you play ideally all of the games against everyone else in your division once. Then, if you get to, I think it's like a month out from the end of the league, they open it up to the rest of the people in your tier, because I'm in 5B and it goes like 5A, B, C, D, and E, I think. So if there's people who just drop out or whatever, you can still get your 9 games, and then the winner of each division gets promoted.
Promoted into the deep core, correct?
Well, but it's tiered, so I'm in 5 and deep core's 1. So I've got to.
Oh, okay.
Work my
So you
way
got to
up.
work your way up, kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's fine. I'm more than happy to start at the bottom and see if I'm actually any good or not.
The fact that they have enough people to fill that league is pretty impressive, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah. The answer is probably no. I'm not good enough, so I'm just enjoying getting more games in, and it's Vassal, so it's not perfect, but we
It's not perfect. I think we probably talked about this in the last episode, but man, did Muon do a ton of work on that. I mean, it's really intuitive now. It's pretty crisp interface now.
Yeah, so what I mean, that's not meant to be directed towards Vassal
Oh, no,
or people who play on
nothing
it.
like that.
It's more of you have a Vassal eye and then an actual table eye.
Yes.
And my eye is probably better for Vassal at the moment, but hey-ho.
I would agree with that statement completely. All right, so Chad, I know Kris is gone for a bit. I know you and I got a game in Kris, so I don't know if you want to kind of start with that one and bleed into it, or for Chad and I can start with the game that we did before the Twitch stream that we live, and then we can kind of spill into the second game.
You and Chad go, and then you can talk about our game, and I'll just tell you how wrong you are.
All right, so we got this crazy idea to do an in focus. If you haven't seen that, go and check out our Patreon page. You can see it for free just by going to the Patreon page and actually see the game that see the game that Kris and I played.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a game.
So
but
I did just open it up onto the YouTube channel in general. Now it was on Patreon exclusive for quite a week, and now it's just on YouTube under DiceHate.
Oh, excellent. Well, then check it out on the YouTube page. You'll see me playing X-Wing poorly, and then we'll be talking. We were talking about some of the latest Resistance, or not Resistance, Republic stuff that came out. We were talking, of course, the Anakin Skywalker Naboo Naboo Starfighter. But Chad helped me warm up a little.
So just to interject, the end of that I had to cut out. So once we get through the Lady Luck dice stats. I think it was when I added Chad's video into the middle. It doubled up the audio, so you two sounded really weird. So I just cropped it there. So it's just an hour and a bit video of us playing, basically.
Aww.
Sorry.
That's a shame. That's okay.
You don't have to add my image next time. That's fine.
I just need to remember to turn off the second audio feed. That's all. It was absolutely on me being a terrible producer.
So, Chad, you got your very first game of Vassal in.
Incorrect.
I thought you'd never played before. I thought we discussed that during the game.
I played 1, maybe 2 games way, way back in the day when we first found out about Vassal. And I did not care for it back then.
How do you feel about it now?
I don't know that I like it. I mean, it's better, obviously, than what it was way, way back in the day, but I'm still not 100% a big fan of it. Dice don't seem to roll like they normally roll, which I know it's a random generation thing and all that. But
dice.
Yeah, the Vassal dice I'm not a huge fan of. I know that was one of the things that kept my son from playing was he's naturally an amazing dice roller, and
Yeah,
Vassal
this is
dice
true.
just yeah, they were not anywhere near what he was used to playing and but no, I mean for the most part of it, I think I was able to eye up the stuff properly. I did put a set of templates over to the side of the table there, so I was able to look at that fairly okay. But I mean, to try and remember, okay, this is this button, that's that button, and I guess maybe if I had a cheat sheet that told me, hey, press this button to do this, press that button to do that, it might not have been so bad. But
Well, and if the more you do it, the more you get used to it. You know, the control shift this button to do that kind of thing. You get
yeah,
about 10, 12 games kind of into it, you just kind of get used to it. But I think the upside, especially, and not to get too far into your personal life, you're in a situation where maybe standing at a table for a really, really long time isn't the best choice for you. So
yeah, I gotta stay off my feet, kinda. So
yeah, so it might not be. You'll still get the opportunity to play some games and practice a list and kind of get ready and still not kind of lose your edge while you're doing it.
yeah.
You did a fair job of kicking my teeth in though.
Yeah, so for the first time of playing Vassal in quite some time, I was still able to, like you said, kick your teeth in. I lined you square up to the curb and put on my hiking boots and give you a good old kick there. And
I was sure you had him, Ed. I was pretty sure you had him. And then it just swirled
and
the
then Ed
toilet.
was Ed.
Yeah, I had shots that I thought that I had lined up. I think so. I'm still trying out this new list, and I should probably pull that up to make sure that I get the full quote on it. I've elected not to go with the Kylo Ren variety of tie silencer, and the reasoning behind that is because it doesn't match my playstyle. I want to be able to get in and fight and shoot it up, and the idea of just playing the runaway, kill one ship and play runaway is not my brand of X-wing. So Kris kind of helped me with a list. I think we talked about it probably 2 shows ago. But the list consists of Blackout with trick shot and proton torpedoes, which is hysterical. Only got that to fire off once, but it was fun and to say the least. Quick draw doing quick draw things with Fanatical, Fire Control Systems, Afterburners, and the Special Forces Gunner. And then we're running Midnight with Fanatical and Advanced Optics. Good list. I genuinely do not fault the list for my poor flying. I think it's the more I get the chance to play the list, I think that's definitely more into my playstyle. It's a far more aggressive list. It wants to be in combat. It wants to be throwing dice in your general direction. So it's just a question of. I feel like the Cleveland Browns of X-wing right now. Like I can't
Yeah,
buy a win to save my life.
yeah.
I feel like
Although
I
this
like.
year they did beat over half of the teams in the NFL.
Oh no, I know.
They ended up in the middle of this whole spot. So
No, I know, and they picked themselves up a running back too. That makes me a little concerned. But
yeah,
that's
but
lack of focus on sports for you.
but yeah, like I definitely say it was definitely user error in your part.
No, I completely agree.
I ran Vader with heightened perception, fire control system, homing missile, major Vermeil, outmaneuver, director Krennic, and shield upgrade, and Pierce Sabak with outmaneuver and shield upgrade.
Same list you've been flying almost since second edition came out, correct?
So it somewhat is. I mean, I've changed up a couple things here and there. Like going forward, the list is not going to have homing missiles anymore, so that I'll
Oh,
actually have a
interesting.
10-point bid.
Oh, are you just gonna pull them off and just go for the bid?
I'm pulling them off, and I'm going to use that 10-point bid because, as Kris was saying, it's like having a 5-point bid's not really helping you. And I've noticed a lot that I try and save those missiles for later in the game, so that like, oh, I sit there and I say I'm firing homing missiles. You could choose to take a damage, or I get to roll my dice out for them. And a lot of people are like, oh, they'll just take that one damage. Well, if I save them for later in the game, that could completely screw you over.
Yeah.
And I haven't really been using them the last several games I played. So
So you're like, if I'm not using them,
I'm
just
just
pull them
ditching
off
them.
and take.
Yeah.
Yep, I can see
I mean,
that.
it's a great concept, and it's, like I said, great thing for end game if Vader's still there and everything to sit there and be like, hey, guess what? You're taking a damage most likely no matter what.
Yeah, I can see
But
that.
yeah, so I'm taking them off and going with the 10-point bid for, going forward.
I do like homing missiles. So, once they went up in points, I understand why you drop them off that specific list. But homing
Yeah.
missiles are very much do you understand Dice, the card?
Yeah.
Because, I'm behind this rock with an evade and a focus. I'll take the damage. Okay, cool. Probably should have let me roll.
Yeah.
But
you never know. You could get my dice in their own
people
way.
always take the damage, Ed. Always. They always take the one.
Yeah, and as bad as my dice were coming up for me in the game, Ed's were definitely coming up worse for him. And there were a couple key moments where Ed's like, "Ha, I got one coming through or two coming through." My dice would like actually roll that one or two evade, and just to watch him, get frustrated and everything is quite a joy.
It's like this. It's the story of my X-Wing life recently. Like, I feel like I line up good shots. I pull off maneuvers where, like, I am in the right position to get what I want to have happen. And then my dice say, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then I end up losing.
I think Vermeil should have died earlier. I don't even know if he did die at all in the end in your game. But I definitely think that Ed put enough fire into Vermeil to actually take him out. But outside of that,
he had
you let him block you onto rocks a little bit too much.
I think it happened. Yeah. Well, yeah. One time, and I think that one time is enough.
Yeah.
Ed had quick draw lined up to kill Vermeil, and I sat there and I said, "Hey, Vader's going to spend the Force for heightened perception," and I killed quick draw before he could shoot at Vermeil.
Yep.
And then Vermeil had a shot at midnight?
Yep.
Vermeil had a shot at midnight and took midnight out in the process too. So
yeah. So I literally lost 2 ships in the same turn.
Yeah.
And
the one time heightened perception actually was even used the entire. Most of the time I've ever seen you use it is when it came into play. Took out the ship.
Yeah.
I had everything lined up. It just didn't work. It is what it is. I'm learning.
Heightened perception is a terrible card until it isn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, when it comes into the play of, let's see, I can kill your ship or you're going to kill my ship. I'd rather kill your ship. I'll use that heightened perception. For 3 points, I mean, it's situational, but I think it's a good 3-point situational card in my opinion.
Well, one of the things you might want to think of, since you are taking the homing missiles off and you're down to 10 points, would be potentially switching out heightened perception for hate. Because you should have the ability to be able to fire.
They're both 3 points, so.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but.
I thought you were going to say sense.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, they're the same point value, so I'm just saying, since you've already dropped it down, you've already got that advantage. Why not switch out for hate instead?
I don't know. I'd probably run a sense fader if I was going to change that up.
And
then you can use Vermeil's aileron repositioning after you've looked at someone's dial.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad point, too. That is actually a really good suggestion.
I mean, hate's like, yeah, okay, so you gain a force after you suffer a damage, but I'd rather be able to take your guy out before you take my guy out than regain 1 force. I mean,
yeah, I can see that. I mean,
I like it better. I mean, I can see why people who take lots of damage would like hate better, but
yeah, I am off the hate train on Vader.
You're off the hate train.
Well, so as Chad just said there, it's really good for people who take a load of damage. You know how much damage Vader can take? It isn't a load.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, get in, I'm full force and also dead.
And also dead.
Yeah.
All right, but that was a warm-up game to get us prepared for of course, it's lack of focus. Why would we do anything to prepare? We just decided at random, we're going to stream a game while we're playing. That was Kris showing me my lessons on the list that I got to play against your Vader list, which was interesting. I thought I was going to do much better against that list. I had this great maneuver set up. I'm like, I'm going to take this ship out, and I'm going to try to do a ton of damage to that one. And I got nothing.
Yeah, your warm-up didn't work.
So, I will point out that you let me completely flank you with 2 ships. Or, if you don't turn onto Duchess, she's now behind you. If you do turn onto Duchess, I've got Pure Sabak, Vader, and Wampa behind you. So I know you have to turn in onto Vader, because having 2 ships behind you, so having 2 ships in your flank is better than having 3 ships behind you. So I knew you were turning onto Vader, and if I didn't want to take those shots, I can barrel roll the other way.
Which is what you did.
But no, as in I could have barrel rolled right.
The opposite.
Completely out of the fight. Right. I gave you those shots on Vader because even if he dies, I think I was still winning that game after that opening game.
I did have a halfway decent opening by feigning one direction and getting Duchess to go one way and then turning in because I saw Wampa coming down the side. My hope was that you would have dialed in a maneuver that you couldn't have aileron in and got her into. I followed that up with a really nice maneuver, turning the firing arc in the back, being able because she was down to one hull at that point. I just needed was it two? I needed, because she did suffer the one and still survived. So I genuinely thought I had a target lock, range 1 with a rear shot, 3 dice, target lock and focus. I thought I had her. And then I had blackout and quick draw, range 1 on Vader. I'm like, I got this. Yeah, I didn't have anything.
So, you did the same thing, which I was chatting about in the other show, right? You assumed I was going to be bad with Duchess. It's like, yeah, I can dial in a move that can as equally get me out of a fight if you turn on her, as it can bring me into a fight if you don't. Because ailerons are awesome, and it's Duchess, so I can choose to not aileron as well. So I had like 4 potential finishes from a 1 move I dialed in. So whatever you did against Duchess, she was fine, unless you managed to one-shot her, which I was relatively sure you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I got it down to 2.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
no,
I wouldn't count on it doing that.
But adaptive ailerons in 2nd edition feel almost what it was like to fly Phantoms in 1st, pre-nerf. Because you do have that ability to be able to have advanced knowledge after ships have maneuvered to be able to react to that. And I think that's cool. It really is a fascinating aspect to those ships.
You should have tried flying them in 1st edition. It was the same thing.
Yeah, they haven't changed. Duchess has got better because she only used to be able to turn them off. She can now turn them on when she's stressed, which is like super good. You can get your double reposition, and even if you've got to go slow to get the blue move in, you can still go fast because you can flap again. And Duchess is probably my favorite ship in that list. As long as you've not got multiple I6s that can actually move, I'll give you Vader, and then I'll kill you with Duchess in the end game. So it's good. I really like it.
So you said you were going to take me to school and tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with that list, and you said you were going to save it for the show because we've got 2 segments of Professor Sheriff's X-Wing College here. So what can I do, or what should I be doing with that list?
You shouldn't have turned into the center of the board at all. Basically. So when you were coming at me, like say you banked in to get the shots at Duchess, and then you hard turned to bring those dice around onto Vader. I wouldn't have turned into a table at all. I would have carried on moving along your table edge and swooped around because I eventually have to turn Duchess in first, or she just jousts you solo while the rest of my list is trying to catch up. So I think you're a little bit too eager to get into the melee in the middle. It's definitely a more aggressive list that you've got. You can definitely do a lot more than you were having to do with Kylo. With the proton torpedoes coming in at the same points, it's definitely a more aggressive thing, but you don't need to fire them in the first turn. You can build up your engagement. You want to maybe snipe a little bit better, and swinging around slowly like that lets you get Blackout onto the outside of the table so he can get more chance of obstructed shots to trigger his ability.
Yeah, we had talked about this actually during the course of the game, but I think one of the pitfalls that I fell into was, well, if I want to get his ability to trigger, because that's kind of the allure of that ship, is his ability says if he's got an obstructed shot, it takes 2 dice off of the ship that's falling. He's also got trick shot, so it's 5 dice with a proton torpedo that's it's at minimum target locked. You could do a ton of damage. And I think that was probably my line of thinking was, well, if I turn in, I'm in the rocks, I can get Vader, 5 dice on Vader. He's only got 1 die. Maybe I can one-shot him and get him off the board kind of thing. And that's the trap that I fell into, so I can definitely see that.
I felt like you were flying your ships relatively well. You didn't make mistakes flying your ships. You made mistakes accounting for me flying mine.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And like I said, you've got to plan around what can my opponent do that will fuck me the most.
Yep, I'm gonna start adopting that line. I'm gonna say that every time before I set my dials.
I think one of the thing to add to your flying there, Ed, was when you turned in, you had that turn where you turned everybody in. I can't remember if you turned it in at, but you had no way out after that. You left yourself literally locked into a position that
Yep.
there was once you were there, and that was the game. If what you did didn't work, you lost, and that's kind of what ended up happening. Was
Yep.
that
It didn't
you
work,
know,
and I lost.
but it was a great maneuver. It's one of those things. It was one of those weird maneuvers in the game where great tactical move, bad end result ends up with bad end result down the road. But that was a good play. It was a good because number one, it caught Kris by surprise. He wasn't ready for it.
Well,
He thought you were going.
I definitely thought it
You-
was going on to Duchess, but
Yes.
I had a backup plan of so
For the just in
yeah
case.
I barrel roll I focus barrel roll to stress Vader because I was like, if he dies, I do not care because I'm going to be target locked focus range 1 of Blackout, and Blackout is not living through these shots. So I would have happily traded my ship for his ship in that situation. That's why I took the aggressive move to turn in, because then if he doesn't kill Vader, she's still 3 dice for focus token and 2 force, I think I had, because I did the
right. You had two.
yeah, I did the target lock, focus barrel roll as linked action. So I only spent 1 charge for my my double. So I wasn't too worried about the outcome of Vader there, because I can do the math of my 73-point ship compared to your 75 or 76-point ship.
But the point I'm actually getting at though is that the maneuver left you in bad position after that.
Yeah, and
You're-
that's
you're-
that whole looking.
Because it took you two or three. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 to really get what you had left back into the fight.
Yeah.
You could tell it was over at that point when you didn't kill Vader, and if you'd had the opposite where your ship would have survived, Vader would have died, it probably would have ended up being a different game. But it was a good maneuver.
It's the same thing they say with like good professional like chess players, how they're looking at the game 2 to 3 or 4 moves ahead. I completely agree with that statement. Like I turned in, and if that didn't work, I had no way out of that situation.
Yeah, and that actually was kind of obvious, and we also talked through it too during it. Where it seemed like it was kind of like you were throwing the long ball on that one, hoping that you would get away with it. And it was a great, it's one of those cool moves in the game that you just sit there and you just sigh because you're like, oh, it was a good move. Okay, and it would have kind of equalized the game a little bit, not greatly, but like Kris said, you probably would have lost a ship.
If I'd have gotten Duchess off the board, though, I think that would have been a different result. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I still would have suffered from the same problem as Vader still in front of me. I still have to find my way to maneuver out of it there, but at least I'd have taken that risk and been rewarded by taking the ship off the board.
Yeah, and I don't know what the right answer is from the deployment you did and the positions I took up. As we spoke about, I've played that list at least 20 times now. And that, I normally play a list my first game with it is round 1 of a tournament. So me playing 20, 30, yeah, me playing 20, 30 games with a list is me try-harding and practicing. So,
well, hopefully with us doing Vassal more often, hopefully I can get those 20 to 30 games in with that list.
Yeah, well, I just think you were a little bit over-aggressive. I would have done the first move you did, take the pot shots at Duchess, then turn on to Duchess because you're pulling range from the rest of my list at that point. Midnight had to go that way anyway because of the crit that she took. So you keep your formation, all your guns pointing the same way, rather than Midnight breaking off and not being in the game anymore. So
yeah, I'll fly it differently the next time we play.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a solid list that you will get the hang of.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, so I think that's going to cover it for Flight Deck. We do have a little bit of news to cover. We are, of course, going to save the Toronto Open for the main topic, but All right, so this one isn't going to take long. This is going to be a short segment. Hey, they're going to do a special edition miniature for Star Wars Celebration 2019, and they're going to do the thing that I said. Well, at least they're not going to do this. No, they're going to do that, where it's not only a special edition miniature Vader for Star Wars Celebration, but it's also a special sculpt for Vader. So now we're falling into that territory where I'm like, I don't know about that. Sean, I know you're going to have a ton on this one. Now, granted, this is for Star Wars Legion, by the way. For
Right.
granted, it's not an X-wing thing, but it does give us a glimpse of things that could come to our game.
Well, I think what we're starting to see is the precedent set. You know, now we've seen it twice. So the interesting thing that I'm waiting to see now is if the community has an expectation from here on out. So all the, like when Gen Con comes, will they demand a special figure for Gen Con, you know, in one of the game elements? And that's what I'm waiting to see if it'll happen. I'm already over the fact that it's happening. You know, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm never a huge fan of that special sculpt but the good thing is, at least as far as I understand, there's nothing new as far as cards go. There's nothing new as far as effects or anything else. It's still Vader in the game. It's just the new sculpt. So
Yeah, they're not going down the what was the attack wing route,
yeah,
where this model has completely different stats. It does completely different things in the game. It's and the only way to get it, and then it turns out to be a meta setting figure in the game. Like, oh crap! Well, if I'm ever going to win this game, I need that. Yeah, we're not there yet.
right. And I hope that they're smart enough, and I think they are, to not go down that part of the road where you're adding special in, because that, you know, or if you're going to do that, make sure it's garbage enough to where it'll never get played. You know, that's just my thought process on it, because I watched Attack Wing, both Star Trek and the D&D Attack Wing, you know, fall into and I played D&D Attack Wing, and you know, when you would play against a person who had the special figure or special creature or whatever it was, you know, you could tell the difference. You know, it was OP, it was too overpowered, it changed the game, and that's kind of what I'm hoping we don't ever see from this. It's actually, I think it's a pretty cool sculpt. You know,
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that. I mean, the sculpt is awesome, and if you're listening to this in audio format, it's Vader standing on this rock formation for the base, and he's got his lightsaber out, and he's doing the fist in the air. Oh, not a fist, open hand in the air kind of thing. It's a great sculpt for Vader. It really is.
Truthfully, it would have been a great trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's based on the Vader comics. For the quote is all I see is fear and dead men. Vader's surrounded by a full company of rebel troops. In fact, it is my new mouse pad. It's one of the Destiny playmat. So,
oh, look at that!
That's my new huge mouse pad. But Vader's surrounded by a full company of rebel troopers and just slaughters them all. So yeah,
because he's Vader.
Yeah. All I see is fear and dead men.
So yeah, sharp looking model. It does. It's that one line I was hoping they wouldn't cross over for X-wing, but now we can see that it may very well be a possibility that special sculpts could be coming to our game. Now I don't know. I mean, I
don't know about special sculpts, to be honest. Just to
it'll be paint jobs.
Yeah,
it'll be paint.
Because they're making all of the ships articulate now. So the only reason you do a special sculpt will be if you wanted a B-wing with the wings closed. But the B-wing's wings close anyway now, so I can't see them doing a special sculpt for X-wing, but just some repaints.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder now what they're going to do for Armada, you know, at Gen Con or whatever. Then that'll be interesting to see.
We shall see. All right, so that was actually relatively short, because we've already kind of spent all of our visceral anger, or so to speak, of the original repaint for the
this
the
one. I
ship.
might pay the money for, like the droid ship. I don't care enough about, but
I will be paying the money.
I don't even play I don't even play Legion anymore, but
that is a
I'm a fan of limited edition models. Like, you look in the case behind me, I have a limited edition oversized Mantic game elf. I hate Mantic games, and the elf is a terrible sculpt, But I've kept the model for like 5. Well, no, it must be like 7 years now. It's still not like painted or anything, but I've still got it because
Oh wow!
it's a special edition model. So I'm a sucker for it. So yeah, someone on eBay will be taking my money.
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah.
And then Mantic was always the Games Workshop fantasy light on a budget. Oh, you need 1,000 zombies? Here you go. They're dirt cheap. 4 different sculpts, but there you go. Anyway, so we also got the opportunity to see the Sith Infiltrator. That one's coming out. Starting to go over some of the cards. Let's kind of start off with, obviously we see Darth Maul. One thing of note that I will keep pointing out is there's a decloaking. Darth Maul's decloaking in the artwork.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a decloak token that we've seen in the spread, so we kind of get an idea.
Do you want to cover the dial first? Because that's in the initial close-up of the model.
I got to ask a question before we do that. Is this a large base or medium base?
Medium based.
That's what I thought.
I'm 99% sure it's a large base.
Oh,
See,
really?
That's where I'm at too. But
because sorry,
I don't. Yeah, well, the picture to me, because you have the ship, the 2 ships. For some reason, I can't visualize, that being that quarter base.
No, it's definitely. I'm like 99% sure this is a large base, just because of the ratio on the outside of the nubs is a full template, which makes it a large base. Because
I can see that.
The base looks like it's split into 3 equal sized thirds, with the middle bit being the nubs, which makes it a large base. If that makes sense to people.
Yep,
It makes
that
sense to me. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so on to that fantastic dial. It does have a 1 hard turn in red, 1 banks and 1 straights in blue. It does have the 2 sloop in red, of course. A 2 turn in red, banks
white.
and straights in blues in the 2s, and then we've got everything in the 3 band in white except for the 3 straight. It is a 4 straight and a 5 K turn. It definitely does have like a large base kind of feel to it, with the 1 hard turn coming in at red.
Remember, they took the 5K off the VCX 100. So having the 5K is really good for a large base. Right? Really, it goes a long way.
All right, so let's start going over some of the pilots. I was kind of curious to how they were going to handle generics within this one, because in this era, technically, there are only a handful of Sith to be known, and now we know the answer to that. So coming in at Initiative 5, Darth Maul. The stats on the ship, it is a 3 primary arc, attack, 1 evade, 6 hull, 4 shield, and of course 3 force. Comes with a focus, target lock, and a red barrel roll. And his ability, after you perform an attack, you may spend 2 force to perform a bonus primary attack against a different target. If your attack missed, you may perform that bonus primary attack against the same target. So inbuilt gunner, thank you. Yes, please.
So it's better than gunner, because gunner only used to trigger if you missed. Now you can hit someone and go, okay, I'm just going to shoot your mate as well.
I'm going to catch both of you.
Yeah. But it is 2 force charges, so I think this guy is going to be a sucker for hate. You've got 10 hit points in there. You can afford to take a little bit of hate on the.
He's only got 1 evade too, so most likely you're going to take some damage.
The interesting thing, Kris, is you'll be able to do this, with hate if you put hate on. What is that? 3 times in a row? 3 attacks in a row?
No, so it's only when you're attacking. You can only perform 1 bonus attack per round.
That's what I'm saying. 3 rounds in a row.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That's kind of the thing that makes me a little nervous about it, is just being able to do that many times in a row.
Yeah,
because that can be game changing.
Yeah, if you don't spend any of the force as a soft modifier,
right.
Spending the force as a calculate token is a good analogy. If you don't do that, you can do it 2 turns in a row, because obviously you start off with 3. Spend 2, go down to 1, recharge 1 at the end of a turn.
But hate gives you 1 more.
Yeah, hate will regenerate the amount of damage you take back as force charges.
Right.
So you can spend if you take 4 hits at range 1 and you roll a focus, you can spend your last force charge to go down to 0 to block the 1 hit, take 3 damage, and then be full on force again for the next attack to come in. So yeah. Hate on Darth Maul seems like it's going to be stapled on.
I would almost think so,
I
yeah.
would
And
almost
oddly
think
enough,
so.
that's the next card that it shows in the spread, so I think they're trying to lean into that.
Yep. He's a pretty hateful guy, I don't know what to tell you.
He is an angry dude. It also does have a title that comes along with it. It is obviously just for the Separatist Sith Infiltrator only. It allows for a red cloak token
Oh,
and a
So
jam as
I
well.
I am interested in how you pronounce this word.
Oh, interesting.
So what's
Uh,
his title called?
It's a scimitar.
That's good. I'm proud of you.
Okay, I was gonna say, is there another way to pronounce it?
I don't know, you crazy Americans, like your scimitars. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no. There's no K in there. It's a C. It's a scimitar. All right, crazy American, yes, D&D player. Keep that in mind. I know the right way to pronounce the word scimitar. All right, so in the setup, after you've placed forces in setup, you may cloak to begin the turn cloaked, which is awesome. After you decloak, you may choose an enemy ship in your bullseye firing arc. If you do, it gains a jam token. Pretty interesting. I'm liking how they are playing around with the design space of after you've placed forces, like turn 0 kind of stuff. You can move a rock, you can deploy something different, or in this case, you can start the game off cloaked. I think that's pretty interesting.
Okay, so a couple of quick points on this. You start the game cloaked. It doesn't say you may take a cloak action, so it's not red. You don't take stress at the start of the game, you just get the cloak token. That's
Right.
the one thing. The other thing is how cloak works on medium and large base ships. Decloaking, I believe, I remember checking this for, I think it was a Mist Hunter or some other scum. I was going to do it on Bubba, I think. I was going to give Bubba a cloaking device. And
Because why not?
yeah, you can't go the 2 sideways on a large base ship. So it works like a barrel roll for a large base. So you don't get as much lateral movement with it, but you do get some.
Yeah, but you're getting something.
Yeah, but like so on a large base ship, a standard barrel roll is almost the same size as a 2 would be on any other small base ship. So it still kind of balances out.
If you imagine thinking, like, this ship has got a red barrel roll on it, so theoretically, if it worked the way people will think it works, that you put the 2 laterally along it and move a 2 sideways, then you've got a barrel roll after that. You're doing effectively, off the top of my head, I think that is a speed 4 maneuver. No, it'll be a speed 5.5 maneuver sideways.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so no,
wow, it doesn't. I hadn't thought about it that way.
It doesn't work like that. It's okay. You basically will move a speed 3 sideways if you decloak and barrel roll in the same direction.
Yeah, but that could get you out of an engagement. That can get you out of trouble, and then turn in on the next turn. I mean, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. It's still good, but it doesn't work the way you want it to, so don't.
As much as you want it to.
The good thing about the decloak as well is because of a large base ship, the bullseye can be quite hard to line up. But it is after you decloak, so if you do need to shift sideways on the decloak, it's your final position, not the original. So I think it'll trigger a decent amount for the jam token.
I think that's fantastic. That's really going to be interesting. All right, so the next pilot we see is Count Dooku. Still don't ever remember seeing him in the Sith Infiltrator, but okay, I'll give him this one. Coming in at Initiative 3, after you defend, if the attacker is in your firing arc, you may spend 1 force token to remove 1 of your blue or red tokens. He still comes in. He also has 3 force charges too. So I mean, there's no gradients in that. It's just initiative. And after you perform an attack that hits, you may spend 1 force token to perform an action.
Yeah. So I love this guy. So it's only Initiative 3, which comes in at the mid range. But the things you've got to think about here. So the cloak token is a blue token. So after you've defended, so you're cloaked up, so you now have 3 agility. So all these Initiative 6 people shoot at you. So, okay, I've got 3 agility, bring it on. Then, once they've finished and you're down to your initiative step, once it's your turn to shoot next, okay, I'm going to spend a force, I'll take this cloak token off. I get to shoot now. Oh, did I hit you? Okay, I'm going to cloak. Yeah, good, isn't it?
Oh, I hadn't thought about because by removing the token triggers the. Okay, I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah, so you're not cloaked anymore. So you don't get to do the decloak action. You just remove the token. So you stay in position, but you just chase them when you fly straight at them. You just remove a token, shoot them, and then if you hit, you can spend a force again to recloak in case there's some Initiative 1 people going to shoot at you.
Ho ho ho.
And then, if there are Initiative 1 people to shoot at you, you spend your last force to take the stress off that you got from cloaking because it was red. And if you've got hate all along, because Count Dooku hates people as well. I mean,
Of course,
why wouldn't
absolutely.
he? He's just throwing force back onto himself and doing this all the time. So yeah, good.
Super maneuverable. That'll be really interesting to see, especially on a large base ship. That's going to be really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm
All
looking.
right.
The tricks you can do with this seem really interesting. It might be too gimmicky at only Initiative 3, but I don't think that it is because you can barrel roll as your action, so you can get him out of arc. Like say you can take the cloak action. You can take a focus if you target locked for offense to get your hit. You can take your cloak for defense if they're shooting after you. And the stress and strain tokens are going to be red tokens, and I believe target locks are red tokens. So you can remove all of those after defending as well.
See, that's the line of thinking I was thinking of being able to take the shot and then barrel roll out. But you went a completely different, higher level thought process on that
So
one.
the reason why was because I was at a blue token. Why would I want to remove a shield? I don't understand. What's these blue tokens? So I was like looking what blue tokens are. Oh, cloak tokens. Oh, this ship can cloak.
Look at that. So I can stay defended, remove it, and then shoot back.
So are we looking at the reintroduction of the Phantom now in 2.0?
So Chad should really like this because this is better than fire control, advanced cloaking device.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
It is only at Initiative 3. And you're burning through force to do it. And I would expect that, considering what we've seen from FFG with all of the new stuff that came out, it's been relatively well pointed and well balanced. I'm not worried about this at all because it's a large base. So it dial's good, but it's not great. Its barrel roll is red. It doesn't have a boost. Its cloak is red. So you're not going to be able to do too many things all in the same turn. So you'll be able to give your opponent problems, but I don't think it's pre-nerf Whisper problems.
Yeah, it doesn't have the 4 attack dice to go with it.
Yeah, the dial is it's a decent dial.
Yeah, but the really good move, the hard one, is red. The 2 sloops are really good to keep in the knife fight on a large base, but are easily blocked. The 5k is going to move you a long way out of the fight. So it's a good dial. I think Dooku will be impactful upon the meta. But the easiest choice is going to be Maul. But I think Dooku has value.
Well, Dooku kind of fits that Echo point, where Echo fit in. And the way that I see you can do this is 2 turns, for basically 2 turns, you can stand in the fight and then you run, regen. It's kind of like doing shield regen, except you're doing it on your force tokens, and then you get back in the fight again. So with this, you'd have to have a list that can withstand and do some knife fighting itself too. So it'll be interesting. That's kind of an interesting concept.
Definitely one I'm going to throw hate onto, though. Just because I want to be able to abuse this as much as I can. I want to be able to, especially when you're looking at Jedis and clones are going to be like staggered initiatives. Like the Jedi should be higher and the clones should be lower, is what I would expect to see from the faction. So you're going to get shot before and shot after. So being able to abuse the mechanics of this ship seem pretty good. And also, obviously, the faction it sits in has got Maul pretty high, Grievous pretty high, and then lots of stuff that's quite low as well. So I think there's lots you can do.
All right, so I know we have a hard stop on a couple of times here, so let's kind of burn through some of these other ones. Well, I don't know if we can burn through the next one. Chancellor Palpatine has been fully spoiled. Coming in for the Republic or Separatist, he obviously adds a force charge to whatever ship he's attached to and a purple coordinate. It's going to be interesting. I'm still getting used to the idea of different colored actions. Again, in the setup, if equip this card, equip this side face up. After you defend, if the attacker is at range 0 to 2, you may spend 1 force token. If you do, attacker gains 1 stress token. During the end phase, you may flip this card. And of course, the obvious opposite side is going to be Darth Sidious, still containing the Force token, still containing the purple coordinate. After you perform a purple coordinate action, the ship you coordinated gains 1 stress token. Then it gains 1 focus token or recovers 1 force. So you're spending a force to do it for free. You're just taking a stress token in the process.
Yeah. The thing that's really cool about this one is that there's no going back. Once you say, "Hi, I'm Darth Sidious," you're not Chancellor Palpatine anymore. There is no
Right,
going back.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a cool concept.
Yeah. I actually think that I would probably only ever use Chancellor Palpatine. Just as depending on the points value of it, but just being able to deal out that stress for a force seems pretty good. Again, points dependent.
Yeah, it does say may. I double backed as soon as you said it. I'm like, well, can you? Yeah, it does say you may flip this card, meaning you don't have to.
Yeah. So once you make that decision, you get a purple coordinate. Sorry, you get extra benefits of using your purple coordinate. You can coordinate someone, and they basically get to push the limits. They get a stress, a focus token, or a recover a force. Means that you could recover a force on Maul and not have to put hate on him. Stuff like that.
All right, Count Dooku, also part of the Separatists, again with the +1 force charge on him. Before a ship at range 0 to 2 rolls an attack or defense dice, if all of your force charges are active, you may spend 1 and name a result. If the result does not contain the named result, the ship must change 1 die to that result. Is this sort of like a Palpatine light?
It's sort of exactly like a Palpatine light. So,
right?
But it's better than 2.0 Palpatine, but it's practically a 1.0 Palpatine. The caveats being that it now has a range restriction of 0 to 3. So 0 to 2, sorry. So you can't do it table-wide like you can with current Palpatine or old Palpatine. And the point that all of your charges have to be active is actually a big one that, for me, you put Dooku on a non-force using ship. You want the only charge he has to be his, because then he gets it, he spends it in the end. He gets it back in the end phase every time. It's always active, but going into every engagement phase.
Yeah, that could be a slippery slope putting that on a force user, because if you spent it even for soft modifications, all of a sudden that crew you spent does not function.
Yeah.
That feels kind of dirty. I like it.
And the best thing is that it's back to working on your opponent's dice and stuff. Oh, I hope you don't roll a crit on that asteroid. Oh, what was that? You did? Who knew?
I forgot about that. Although there are parts of first edition that I have pushed out of my mind. I forgot that you could do that.
Yeah.
All right. General Grievous comes with a charge token himself, separatist only, of course. While you defend, after the neutralize result step, if there are 2 or more hit crit results, you may spend 1 energy to cancel 1 hit or 1 crit. After a friendly ship is destroyed, recover 1 energy.
This one is definitely points dependent. I can't really judge this on how much I want to include it until we see A, how many crew slots we have on this ship, and B, how much it actually costs. Because if they focus this ship down and a hull upgrade is cheaper, I probably want a hull upgrade. If they don't focus a ship, and like just sporadically shoot at you, they're probably doing something wrong. You know, it feels like you've got to rely on your opponent misplaying to get maximum value out of Grievous. But that said, if he comes in at like around the hull upgrade points level, I can see some value in it.
Yeah, either that or you're going to play it with a lot of really, really, really crappy ships, or at least ships that die easily.
Like droid fighters.
Like droid fighters, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So you kind of run a swarm around this ship with him, and expecting a ship to die a turn, probably, you know, that's how you can really maximize his effectiveness.
Yeah, well, like I said, they have to shoot at you. So you spend a charge, then they need to kill a different ship so you can get
Right.
the charge back. And it's
Right.
like, really? Maybe I just shoot all of my shots at the ship that's got Grievous on it, and then he's dead, and then I
Yeah,
can
no,
kill him?
no.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you on that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying the only way to make him work, and you'd have to go against players that don't understand it.
Yeah.
All right, so on to the next pilot, 066, the Sinister Automaton. Because he's a droid, he has a calculate instead of the focus. Coming in at initiative 3, after you defend, you may spend 1 calculate token to perform an action.
Good. He's got to
Yeah.
calculate, so people can steal his token for network calculation.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be relatively cheap.
Well, the interesting thing on this one is it's the same initiative level as Dooku. So
Yeah.
I'm going to guess he's probably going to be a lot cheaper than Dooku too. So
Yeah, those 3 force charges and access to focus rather than calculate probably add up.
yeah,
Probably.
pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to play this ship, this is the cheaper way to go with a, I'm not going to say great, but a relatively decent version.
Yeah.
All right, we have another additional solitaire into the droid army. Separatist, of course, only. K2B4. When a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 defends, it may spend 1 calculate token. If it does, add 1 evade result, unless the attacker chose to gain a stress token. Strain, sorry. I did say stress. I apologize. Yeah, strain token.
So strain new?
Yeah,
Or is it-
strain is you roll 1 less agility dice until someone attacks you. And then after you defend, your token goes away.
Gotcha. So yeah, just a limiting. That's kind of a cool mechanic.
Yeah. If you think if you running this guy with a swarm of droid fighters, they shoot at them. We're only rolling 2 dice, but they can network calculate. So if you roll an evade and a focus, you can spend your calculate token to add an evade result. So you go up to 3 evades and spend someone else's calculate to change your focus to an evade.
Right. So similar to a reverse Atani Mind Link.
Yeah, I like this because it is forcing hard choices on your opponent. Reminds me of 000 in that regard. You know, the give me a calculate or you take a stress. Especially, I think I prefer this if you're running the lower initiative droids, because they're going to have to make these decisions before you actually get to attack them. So if they're racking up strain tokens, they're hampering their own defense. So for your lower initiative ships to then punish them.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And then we get into the good old generic Initiative 2 Dark Courier. That's all he is. That is the Initiative 2. That's the generic. I was kind of curious how they were going to handle it, and that's how they're going to do it.
For me,
Again-
this is just points dependent.
Yep.
I mean, think about it. You know, the ship has a decent enough dial. If you could fit 4 of these on the board, that's a lot of hit points. You know.
So
I doubt you'll be able to, but even 3 at 30 points, you're looking at, for at least it's standardized flying at that point.
the bit the one I'm looking forward to with this guy is when we get into the next upgrade card, and running, because he's going to be cheap compared to the Jedi, the Sith, and the other guys. So being able to just run it cheap with the Dark One probe droids looks really good fun, because you should be able to get at least you've got to be able to get at least 6 terrible droid fighters with him to really mess people up with the way the jam and target what works from it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love this upgrade.
Yeah.
The Dark One probe droid, droids, plural, comes with 2 charge tokens. During the end phase, you may spend 1 charge token to drop, i.e. from the back, or launch 1 Dark One probe droid using the Speed 3 maneuver. This card cannot recover, this card's energy cannot be recovered, meaning you only ever get 2. But instead of mines or tokens that are getting dropped on the board, these are actual ships that you're firing out to just go out and do stuff. So I'm really, really curious as to how inexpensive or how expensive this particular upgrade is, because in theory, with all those cheap droids floating around, you could break almost again. Not this is points dependent, but in theory, if it's low enough, you could fire out a whole bunch of droids dirt cheap, and then fire these things out there as well, and get a whole boatload of ships out on the board. Super easy to kill, which you should probably cover those as well.
Yeah.
They have a 3 of 8, and they only have one hull. And the Dark One Pro droid, what it does, when a friendly ship locks on an object or jams an enemy ship, it may measure range from you. After an enemy ship overlaps you, that ship rolls 1 attack die. On a focus result, you suffer 1 damage. And in your initiative phase, you may relocate using the 2 bank, 2 straight, or 2 banks or 2 straight templates. So they're little droids that are just flying around the board. I think that's amazing.
The thing to note about it, this is that weird pentagonal template token that we saw in the spread when we first covered it. So this shows what it does.
Gotcha.
So that's why it says relocate, because you can put that in any of the 5.
Oh, gotcha. So this is one of those ones that looks like a mission token in like old first edition. They're not really mission tokens. They're tokens that are going out onto the board and being used in regular play.
Yeah, it can get around, but you can then be at the opposite end of the table in your relatively cheap Dark Courier and just like, oh that guy there, I'm gonna jam him. Because the problem I always had with jamming someone is you had to be at range like 1 to do it. So then if we're shooting each other, I'm giving up my modifiers to make you give up your modifiers. But defensively, the red dice are better than the green dice anyway. So if I'm worried about dying, which I always am, it was a bad trade. But when you can do it with a ship that's on the other side of the table, it's under no pressure. Then I can strip your modifiers, and all of my droids are all calculated together, and I've got the stupid guy who lets me add evade results. So I'm getting all of my mods. I don't know about you, but it seems like you suck.
I personally just love the idea of being able to fling these things out into the board and be like, all right, you can kill this if you want to. It's going to be a nuisance.
And that's
but if you do...
It is a nuisance. Like, do you want to shoot this Initiative 0 probe that's only got 1 hit? It's still rolling 3 agility dice, so it doesn't take any actions. Tiny. Yeah, it doesn't have any actions or anything like that, but it gets in the way of your opponent. So not in the way in the aspect of blocking, but in the way of the plans, in that at any point I'm just going to jam you, or look at that, I can target lock you even though you're a high initiative because this probe is here.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's something completely new to the game. I think it's a fantastic mechanic overall. All right, anything else we want to cover on the news, or is that about it?
I think that's us.
All right. So we are going to call it here for this segment. We're going to move on to the main topic, which is going to be covering over the Toronto Open.
Briefly.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to be that long of a conversation at all. All right. So all of that coming up right after this. All right, we're back in the main topic. We've had a system open happen after the points change, so we're getting an idea of what the competitive meta might look like. Interesting lists that came out of this one, specifically the winner, the one I'd like to talk about the most. However, let's get the elephant out of the room and re-enter Professor Sheriff's X-Wing Academy. What happened on this? Because I've been meaning to watch the game. I haven't had the opportunity, so can you try to describe what happened in the semifinal game that's caused so much of a bit of a hubbub?
So Kalen was playing against Mark, and Mark went to Talon roll with Darth Vader, and then how I understand it, the judge was called to see if a Talon roll fits, because if you slide it fully forwards, Vader fits, but they weren't sure if they've done it too far forward because of, it's got to line up to a center line on a template. So the judge called a marshal. The marshal went over and ruled that it doesn't fit. It bumps because a 3-hard turn doesn't fit. And there was some, in my opinion, interesting interpretations of the rules here, and that they're saying that because it says if a maneuver completes, if you fully execute a maneuver, you can rotate the ship and then place it on the hash marks. But that's impossible because you can't fully execute a maneuver until you've rotated the ship, placed it on the hash marks. So they then said, well, it does say that you use the same hard turn as the speed that you're doing, so it must mean if you complete that maneuver. Which is fine if that's the way you read it and understand it, that is fine and a valid way to read it. But I think the reason why I personally believe that is wrong is because you open up a massive can of worms for the only times you check for overlap. So if you check for overlap and it doesn't overlap, you are judged to have fully executed a maneuver. Lots of cards trigger when you fully execute maneuvers, which would mean that potentially you can trigger cards twice, one from fully executing a 3-hard turn, twice from executing a 3-hard Talon roll. So
Yeah, I see where you're going.
I can't execute 2 maneuvers from revealing 1 dial. So I don't really understand the logic of the argument when but to me personally, if you have a choice between a game state that is functional and logical, or a dumpster fire that just doesn't work, I don't know why you would choose dumpster fire. But this isn't to call into question the actual judge ruling in the moment. I've made bad calls in the moment, and literally 10 minutes later, read up on it more time, and then I've had to go and apologize to players. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. With Jam, one of the 2 players were discussing it, and they said about the defender picks, because they pick either a green or a target lock, and then they remove it. So, yeah, that's what it says. That's fine. And I went downstairs again, started reading through it, and processed it properly. I was like, no, that's not how that's the words that I use could mean that, but when you read it, it's I pick a green token. I'm picking this green token. Right? I'm pointing at it, picking this green token. It is your reinforced token. You don't get the choice, I do, because I'm picking. So I went up, apologized, and everyone makes calls of varying levels at the table, but I don't get the doubling down on the call and arguing that doubling down on the dumpster fire is effectively what's happened at the moment, which is where the controversy comes in. The way a Talon roll works is if any of the 3 positions fit, you have to place it. You can't choose a position that doesn't fit and bump. If you choose to do a Talon roll and it's going to land you at range 1 of someone in arc, but one of the positions would bump them, that is an illegal choice. You can't do it. You've got to. If you can complete, you have to. It's like it says, it's similar to doing a barrel roll. If you can complete it, you have to. So that's
where my interpretation went. I could see the direction I thought you were going to go is that part of the completing of the maneuver includes completing the 3 turn, but that's not it. I mean, the Talon roll itself is including the push forward, the mid, or the back.
Yeah.
So if Vader could have completed that, he should have been permitted to do so.
Yeah. So the problem you get, so we're going to use Vader because this is the actual example that you had.
Mm-hmm.
I will use my Vader. So I've got afterburners. So if you make me check for overlap on a 3-hard turn, I will gladly do that with my afterburner Vader. Because the second I clear that overlap, I am now allowed to trigger afterburner before I rotate my ship. Because I've checked for overlap, so I've fully executed a maneuver.
Oh,
so
I see where you're going on that.
I've completed a 3-hard turn, which doesn't have a colour, so I'm not stressed. So afterburner, then I'll trigger Vader, I'll boost, so I'll focus, target lock, barrel roll. Oh, now I'll rotate 90 degrees and place it on the hash marks of what I don't know. But you let me do this because you said I had to check for overlap in the middle of a maneuver, which means I completed a maneuver because that's the rules for overlap. So
that's a can of worms.
That's a dumpster fire.
So the mechanic is you have to complete it off that center hash mark first, correct? And then you can adjust it.
No, yeah, you rotate the ship 90 degrees, and then you
Yes.
place it in one of the 3 legal positions, similar to a barrel roll.
Okay, then
So-
why is there an issue with this?
Um,
Why was there an issue?
Someone read it creatively and argued that, I assume, I don't know. Or the question was
Because-
asked, and
Because you don't put the rear nubs in at all. You
No,
never do that.
the rear nubs never touch the back of the template, but
Right. It's
the-
always the side of the ship. It's
Yeah.
one, it's the side that's rotated 90 degrees.
the argument is that the rules for completing a maneuver involve placing the rear nubs into the template that you use, which is correct. Unfortunately, that argument,
Fortunately, though, that's not
that's a
normal
basic maneuver.
maneuver.
That's an
correct. It's
Yeah,
not a normal maneuver.
in advanced maneuvers, it specifically says that these ignore some of the rules for normal maneuvers. So it lays out really obviously how to do it when I read it. I'm not calling into question the heat of a moment decision. I'm calling into question the doubling down on social media that they did it right and everybody else in the world is playing it wrong.
Yeah, they're incorrect. But
Yeah.
either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It happened. It's overruling. I agree with you on the doubling down, though. You're wrong. Don't make it worse.
So the rule, and I'm reading the word directly out of the rule book, reads as follows. For talent roll, this maneuver is executed like a left or right turn maneuver of the same direction, but before the player places the ship at the opposite end of the template, the ship is rotated 90 degrees in the same direction as the maneuver. The player places the ship so that the hash marks on the side of the base is aligned to the left, middle, or right end of the template. The ship cannot execute a full maneuver. It does not rotate 90 degrees. However, the full maneuver is including placing to the front, back,
Right.
or middle of the hash mark.
The only maneuver you can check for when performing a talent roll is a talent roll.
Right.
It seems. I don't want to harp on about it because I did a big post on the rules, the Facebook rules question group, and the guys who made the ruling are feeling attacked, and it's never the intention. It was more to try and clear it up, and I don't want them to feel like we're harping on at them and anything like that. But we're going to talk about it because it's a giant controversial ruling that was made, and I'm willing to accept the premise that what you're laying out, like, if I give you that yours is a valid reading, you have to give me that mine's a valid reading. That's the way Discord and conversation works. And when we have these two choices, you have a choice of a functioning game or a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way I can summarize it. And that should be a good general rule ever when you're reading the rules reference guide. If you can interpret something 2 ways, and one of them is a dumpster fire, do the other one. Always pick functioning game. That's probably, I don't think FFG ever wrote the rulebook thinking, you know what will really mess up our game and make it not actually work and unplayable? Yeah, let's do that. That's the rule we want.
That's the way we want it to play. Yeah, no, I agree. We're not by any stretch of the imagination just trying to get on to the TOs who made the ruling. We've all made bad calls. We've all made the incorrect rulings. We've all read the rules wrong and not done them correctly. This is more along those opportunity to learn.
I've got maximum respect for Mark here because he sucked it up and was like, yep, no problem, play it on. And this took Vader out of the fight because he's now stressed facing the wrong direction. Takes Vader out of the fight for 2 turns. And he loses on points because he can't kill enough of Kaelin's list.
Yeah, because he couldn't get back into the fight to get to...
Trust me, Vader hits like a wrecking ball. Vader's in the fight, pointing in the right direction. That game might easily go the other way. And Kaelin sucked it up and took it like an absolute champ. And that is what we should be talking about, and we should be celebrating that kind of sportsmanship.
I agree, 100%.
Yep.
All right,
So,
Kris, let's get into
Mark de Bruin took it like an absolute champ. I'm sorry, I think I said Kaelin there. Kaelin's the overall winner of the event.
Let's talk. All right, so let's talk some lists. Kaylin's list can we save to the last because I really, really want to talk about that. Do you want to do like the top 4, top 8? What are you thinking?
So I've only got them listed by the list fortress thing, which gives me the top 14 is what the cut was. I think just picking some interesting stuff. One thing I will point out is that Canada is apparently wholesome as fuck. With no bullshit list really. Like there is one quad phantom. You've got X-wings. You've got generics. You've got Paul LaRue, Blue, no quick draw, and Kylo.
Null after the points adjustment and no coordinate on him too. I respect that list.
Mark's list was Vader, Hate, Fire Control, and then 3 IMDA test pilots, so the lowest initiative phantoms. You've got some really interesting.
Even the 4 phantom list, it was still like because after the points adjustment, you couldn't have juke on all of them, so he just went and
juke, crack shot
on one of them. Like, okay, so I can't have a juke on all of them. I'll just have a juke on most of them. Like, I thought that was really interesting, really innovative. But the number of generic pilots, not even included in the list that won the event, but just the sheer number of generic pilots, I was really astounded by.
Yep, really good. So, do you want to go just in depth on the final lists, the ones that actually made it all the way to the end? Because you'll like this.
I love this list. I absolutely love
this.
So,
I'll do Peter Rose's list first. So he's the person who finished in second. He ran Zeb with Leia crew. He had a Blue Squadron escort with servo motor S foils, Blue Squadron escort, servo motor S foils, a Blue Squadron pilot with jamming beam, and a Blue Squadron pilot with jamming beam. So 5 ship rebels,
XXBB, and then the shuttle with Leia, so that they can all just K-turn or Talon roll or whatever they want to do for free.
Yeah.
Love that. That's not the one I'm talking about there.
No, and Kaylin managed to run a 6-ship rebel swarm. And Kaylin was the overall winner of the event. He ran 3 bandit squadron pilots with nothing, a partisan renegade with Leia Organa, tactical officer, and pivot wing, a Blue Squadron pilot with jamming beam and tractor beam, and a Blue Squadron escort with servo motor S foils. And I was on the stream, obviously, for the final and the semi-final, and really puts on a display of how to use that tractor beam to mess people up. He put damage through all of those IMDA test pilots by tractor beaming them, moving them into range 1 of his ships, then getting them all to shoot when they're down to 1 agility, stuff like that. Really, really well played.
Remind you a little bit of how Simeon maybe brought in tractor beams, and all of a sudden I'm moving ships all over the board, and that's kind of cute. I'm just going to put you here instead. That's what I was thinking when I saw the list.
Tractor beam, it's just good fun. I don't know that he actually ever used the jamming beam. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. It's probably in there, if I'm being honest, as a gamble against the triple ups ones, in case you run into that. Because I think the math works out that you need 4.5 ships shooting after the ship that fired originally, with the jamming beam that strips the reinforce to make it worth actually stripping the reinforce rather than just shooting them. Because obviously you've got to do damage, which becomes no damage. Take the token off. So if you were going to do damage anyway, you would have done damage. So sacrificing that. So it's a convoluted argument, but I think 6-ship list. It's probably in the. It costs 0 points. It's probably in
so
the.
Why not?
As a triple up on. Yeah, that's what I would guess at. But I would also guess that he probably didn't get much use out of it at all.
I am intrigued though that we didn't see the triple ups on list in there at all. At least not in the top 14 that made the cut.
I'm scrolling down to see if I can find you a triple ups on list. Probably in here somewhere.
I think we did see a Vader Punisher list in there that kind of replaced what Redline was doing in the past. That was in there, but I guess for me, it's encouraging to see the sheer number of generic pilots, because I really began to feel with all the lists that I've been seeing recently, it's always name pilot, name pilot, name pilot. And I know I've made this comment recently on the show where I was like, Well, what happened to all the generics? Like the list that made it with the generic pilots. Granted that Leia's on both of them, and we did discuss that before and how powerful we thought that she was going to be, but it reminds me of whenever 4B1Z came out. I mean, it's just a bunch of generic pilots, a lot of hull and shield, and a lot of red dice on the board that you have to deal with.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the number of rebel lists that made the cut.
It's quite a
so
few.
Out of the 6 lists, 6 of the lists that made the cut had Leia in it. Only the Luke, Wedge, and Dutch didn't, from off the top of my head.
Yeah, and that was still kind of like they weren't running all the proton torpedoes, but they were still running some of the proton torpedoes.
Yeah. So
another good solid list. I like that one too.
Do you want to talk about the final as well?
I haven't seen the final, so yeah. If you can fill us in, I'd be more than happy to.
So in the third round of the the third turn of the final.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Yeah. Peter unfortunately dialed in 2 left turns with his B-wings whilst he was on the left flank of the board, rather than 2 right turns, which he'd done with the rest of his list. Obviously, the judge was called and ruled correctly that you have to execute the maneuver that's on your dial. So that put, in the opening exchange, it was going to be, I believe, 5 out of Kaelin's 6 ships with shots, and only 3 of Peter's ships with shots, and 1 of those would have been Zeb. So not really meaningful. And then 1 of his ships would have been off the board, and there's a 50-50 chance that the Talon roll isn't going to fit because he has to land it to the center. A 1 hard turn has to fit before the Talon roll fits. So he would have been down 2 ships in the second turn of actual engagement. So once that ruling was made, he did reach across the table, concede quite rightly. I mean, there's no point playing a game you're not going to enjoy just to dance for the Twitch chat telling you to dance, monkey dance type thing. Right? You're under no obligation to perform for the mob. I have no problem with that. It's just an unfortunate situation. I believe that Peter actually attempted to drop going into the cut, but the person who would have got bumped up wasn't there to take his place. This is all supposition on my part. I do believe that he was really tired through traveling, didn't get much chance to actually play. He made it all the way to a final table. That's an achievement in of itself.
Yep.
I don't want to come down too hard on him. Equally, I don't want to take away from Kaelin's achievement in that he won.
Yeah, no, fair and square by the rules, absolutely. And we've all been there. You've all done that where you flipped your dial over like, ooh. Like you've turned it the wrong way and now you're making a left instead of a right. It's a simple mistake. We've all done it. And especially with these long, big tournaments, if you've been to them, they're 10 to 12 hours long. You've been on your feet all day. You're hungry. You're tired. I could absolutely see making that same mistake.
Well, I was playing, obviously nowhere near this level, but I was playing in our Wave 1 champion kit because it was odd numbers, so I had to play in it to make it even numbers, so it wasn't a buy. And round 1 and 2 was fine, but then I'd not eaten anything. I was rushing around trying to run the tournament and getting work questions about like stock issues and painting stuff and everything. And turn 1, I turned one of my. I was running 4 Phantoms. I'm a horrible person. And I turned one of. Well, I said to him, "It's an extended event. I don't want to play extended, but if you make me, I'll run quad Phantoms. It's fine." And I banked one of them the wrong way, which made another one bump into him. So I went into the opening exchange at a token down, and that actually it was what's the palette you always run, Chad, on the Reaper? Vermeil, is it? The one.
Yeah, Vermeil.
Yeah. Vermeil shot me, and I didn't have a green token, so I took an extra point of damage. My ship died.
Yep.
If I have the second token, he doesn't get to convert that blank into a hit. I don't die. So, yeah, it literally cost me a game there. And then the fourth and final round, I'd do the same thing again. On the second turn, I bank one of my ships the wrong way. Just like we're all the same dial, all doing the same things, and just one of them goes the wrong way because I was an idiot. And what can you do? Like, it's human error. If you're tired, you've got other things on your mind. It's an easy mistake to make, but equally, you're playing on the top table of a Premier event, so you've got to play by the rules. Unfortunately, I don't think the Marshall could have done anything different. And
Nope.
if they had, I think that would have been much, much worse than the stream and tournament ending early.
I'm vaguely remembering a Worlds event that was on camera with FFG where someone had either dialed in the wrong maneuver or something along those lines, and the player just allowed him to take the correct maneuver. Am I misremembering that?
No, you're probably not, because if it's between
No,
players.
so what happened was that was between James McDonald, I think that's his name, and Paul Heaver. That was in, I think, a top 8 game in 2014 where Paul dialed in, or it was either that or it was I don't think it was dialing it in. I think he allowed him to change his action.
It was something like he didn't want to beat Paul that way, wasn't it?
That way, yeah. Because Paul would have flown a ship off the board, and it pretty much would have been game at that point. It was James McDonald versus Paul, and I was the judge that was called over on it. And the way that I responded to it was, first question I had is, do you need me to rule on this? Because James was already saying, that he wanted Paul to change his action. And Paul was like, well, this is what I chose. And I said, this is now up to you guys. Do you want me to rule on it? Because my ruling is going to be you're flying off the board.
Yeah.
I didn't say that to him, but that's in my head what's going through my head.
No, and
this is the ruling, because that's the ruling it has to be.
Especially on the final table, what's the saying that has been going around? Like, you can't collude against nobody. So
right,
exactly.
If you offer the takesy backsies and they take it, there's nowhere for the judge to get involved.
Correct.
If you get the judge involved, you've made the decision. The decision is you play by the rules.
Right. And that's how I played it, and that's how I viewed it.
And after James allowed him to do the takesy backsies, where did Paul end up finishing in that event? Oh, that's right.
Just one world. It's okay.
Just one world. That's all. So, so there's two different sides to that, in my opinion. There's in my mind, having played James myself, he's a sweet guy. It was a fantastic game, even getting my butt kicked by him. There's the sportsmanship in it that's like, yeah, I know what you meant to do. That's okay. Go ahead and do it. But then there's the hyper competitive, nope, that's what you dialed in. I don't fault anyone for taking either side of that coin. I really don't.
Yeah, ultimately, it is what it is. There's no getting around it. But...
Right. I mean, there's people who are going to probably sit there and freak out about my comment if they actually listen, about me saying, giving them an out, or however you want to look at it, basically letting the players decide it after a judge was called. It didn't matter to me, it's their game. It's not the judge. That's the thing that people have to understand. It's the players' game. If the players involve judges, then it changes the whole thing,
It's not about you, it's about them.
Exactly. And that's, when I watched in the top 8 with Ira and can't think of his name, from Washington, in their game, it became it was such a stressful, fine mechanical game that it ended up being, I think, me and Alex Davey moving all the ships on the board.
Yeah.
Because it just got to be such a knife fight in there, such everything in there. But anyway, yeah, we're getting close here. So
yeah, sorry about that. I've got a big work meeting in the morning, so I do apologize for that.
No, it's okay. I think we've covered all of that anyway. I don't think there's much else to cover. Like, congratulations to Kaylin on the win.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely, and a cool list. I'm probably going to steal it because it's such a cool list.
Congratulations to Canada for being nice. I was mocking someone, one of my, I think it might have been Zach Matthews. I was like, just because you can fly degenerate crap in next ended doesn't mean you should. Someone had posted.
So wait a minute. So the concept of Canada here, with all of this, and you look at all the memes and everything. The best meme in that would be is, every time a ship comes off the board, oh man, I'm sorry, I took your ship off the board, And that's the only thing that comes to mind. By the way, it was Jonathan Gomes.
Yeah.
Who,
That's who it was. That's right.
Okay. Do you want to wrap this segment?
Yeah, so that's going to do it for the main topic. Again, congratulations to all those involved. It sounds like it was a fantastic event, and I was super excited to see all those generics. It brought some joy to my heart to see some generic pilots doing well. So we're going to go ahead and close out the segment, and then we'll close out the show right after this. All right, so that is going to do it for episode 19 of Lack of Focus. Before we close out the show, of course, we've got a little bit of a giveaway to do. And I am contractually bound to murder this name, but we are going to give away some stuff for the game. Von Uschensplechen Licken Glutton. No, horrible. Wait, let me try one more time. Von on Uschensplechen Lichen Kulten.
It's not on.
Yeah. We're going to have to get some of our German listeners.
Licken Colton. Boom.
See, you can do it. You're the one that's supposed to be doing it.
Von Uschensplechen Kulten. I don't know what's so hard about that, Ed. It's easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
You can wrap your mouth around it. I see it, and I just hear mouth noises and clicks. I'm trying really hard here. No offense to our German listeners. It's not registering with my brain. That's my fault, not yours.
So we are up to a D12 now, and the dice is getting bigger every time.
I may have... No, I do have one. Woohoo! I do have one.
So on our lucky Patreon donator,
Number 1.
Oh, okay.
That's me, right?
So technically it's me, but we skipped through that one. Then it would be Ed, so we skipped through that one because it goes off a date apparently. This is.
Oh.
So
you
are
just make a free roll.
We're at Jerry Hoult. So he's actually a Calgarian. He's also he supports me on the DiceHate Patreon as well.
You can deliver that one in person, so that saves you postage. Yay!
There you go.
I'm not going to say that. There's a chance that Jerry might laugh at me and tell me to draw it again, but if we do, we'll have to get Ed to say Von Uschensplechen Kulten again. So that's
yes.
The other things, Paul...
I'm going to practice that over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be in the shower practicing that.
So thanks a lot for your support, Jerry. We really appreciate it, and I will hand deliver you a copy of Von Uschensplechen Kulten and some Arcane Seekers.
Woohoo!
So on top of that giveaway, we do have a second giveaway and news that Paul LaRue kindly donated free of charge out of the goodness of his heart a full set of his event cards, which is the Han Solo in the Scum Falcon, the Corellian Kid. I really like the way he's done the new art now. So he's got it with just full bleed.
Yeah, love that.
And then he's got it on the same picture on the other side, but with the actual stats and stuff on there. So we have enough of these to give out to all of our current Patreons, so everyone will get one. And we should have a couple left over if anyone else signs up. I'll keep them aside and give them out. But Paul was kind enough to also give us the cards that he did for Wave 10 of his cycle. Wave 10 is the Rebel cards, which is Thane Kyrell, Wedge Antilles, and Luke Skywalker. And he also gave us a set for Wave 11, which was, I always butcher this name, Cien Minara, Del Mico, and Iden Versio. So you guys get to pick which one of those we're going to give away. Don't know which one.
I'm going with the TIE Fighters. I'm an Imperial guy. I'm voting TIE Fighters.
Yeah, so we're going to do Wave 11 first. So you'll get a copy of all 3 cards. So you have Cien Minara.
At least I'm not the only one butchering names tonight.
Del Mico and Iden Versio. Cien Minara. Marinara, I don't know. Some Italian sauce lady, I don't know. Crack on.
Dice in hand. I'm ready.
Yeah. Same again.
So this one rolled a 9.
9, okay.
I'm hoping the mic picks up the dice roll too.
That one is for good. William Key. Oh, William
Congratulations, William.
Yeah, relatively new patron as well, so congratulations. I will double check that I have your contact details from Patreon, and I'll get those in the mail and they should be joined. I have a confession to make. I have delayed sending out all of the previous prizes because I was waiting for the target lock tokens to all get bagged up and everything. They're now done. So when I get back from Crate Cup, I will be going to the post office, sending out many, many parcels. And yeah, fun. So it'll be
You should
good.
kind of mention that you're going to that event, by the way. I think we did not mention that. We can kind of just drop that in real quick.
Yeah, so we're recording on the Wednesday instead of the Thursday because I actually fly out at midnight to Durham, North Carolina to play in Crate Cup. In Crate Cup 4, done it 4 times. So the Carolina Crates run their own team tournament. So I'm going to be playing on a team with a father-son team, and then myself and Jeremy Chambalaya are going to be making up the numbers so they can actually play in the event. And
Please give Chumpy a big hug. I love him.
I will. And then we'll be playing some Game of Thrones on Sunday. I have been endeavoring
Ned
to
Stark.
Yeah, I've got a cool Ned Stark list that I'm going to be running. I didn't get my own army painted because I've been too busy painting a trophy for them. Like we've got the Iron Throne, so that is currently in downtown Calgary, having a plaque fitted to it at the moment. And then I've painted up some of the limited edition models as well from the Kickstarter exclusives. So I'm going to be giving those away to random players on the Sunday. So
That's awesome. It's Sheriff Claus. He's just here's a limited mini. Here's a limited mini.
And I always
I
wonder
mixed
why
up my
DiceHate.
metaphors. It's more of an Oprah. It's
I wonder why DiceHate doesn't make any money. It's like because I keep giving
I
it all
can't
away.
imagine why.
Also, just for people watching, I did get myself a new phone
Oh,
case.
look at that!
Yeah. Nice DiceHate Productions phone case.
Look at that! You should do
all
a store.
professional. Yeah.
We should do a store like we're doing like t-shirts, hats, stuff like that. I'd wear a DiceHate t-shirt.
I've got a couple of new ones in production at the moment because I do use like TeePublic for their online store where they're just made to order, but the turnaround time is pretty long. So I'm gonna look around. I've been meaning to do it for like 6 months, but I just keep putting it off. Look around for somewhere that's a little bit more efficient.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so we are in a very truncated timetable, so let's burn through some questions and a list to review.
All right, so first up we got Alan Mugginson. Does Han Pilot work with C-3PO crew?
So this one is the Rebel Han who his rerolls. If you're near an obstacle, it doesn't count as a reroll. So yes, it does work with C-3PO in that if you call 1 for your evade and roll your 1 evade dice and it comes up a blank, you get a reroll with Han that does not count as a reroll. If that reroll comes up as an evade, it counts for C-3PO because it wasn't a reroll. Because C-3PO is before rerolls, but Han isn't a reroll, so it works. So you get 2 shots. It also works with Lando crew. You can reroll that die. You can't, if Midnight has you locked, you can't re-roll it because whilst it doesn't count as a re-roll, it's still modifying your dice, and Midnight shuts down modifications, not re-rolls. The one that's a little bit trickier was the Magna Yavara version, which if she's got you locked, you can only re-roll 1 die. So the ruling on that, I think that they're doing at Crate Cup, which Chris Allen all put together, was that you can use Han's ability, but you can only use it on 1 die. So you can't re-roll all of them and then use your target lock to re-roll the 1. You can only re-roll 1 die twice, effectively. If that makes sense.
Yep, no, that makes perfect sense. Interesting ruling on that one.
Yeah, it's pretty intricate. I think that's probably one of the greyest areas from what we were talking about earlier on. That's how I'm ruling it at all of my events. It's in my list of things that I talk about before the dice are rolled type thing. This is how this interacts, blah, blah, blah. At some point, we keep meaning to do another YouTube video of the latest rules, things, and how I rule them.
Interesting. All right. Chad, question 2.
Scott Weasel wanted to know, what do you think the odds are that Episode 9 is exactly like Return of the Jedi?
0.
0.
Darth Vader can't die, and there's best not be any Ewoks.
No, I think. All right. So I think his interpretation of what he's saying is how very similar to how Force Awakens was in general story arc to A New Hope. I think he's thinking more in general pieces.
We're looking at
they're rebuilding Starkiller Base, and they're in the middle, and they have to destroy it before it's fully operational. Oh wait, it is operational. Like if it started falling into that trope, I'd quit. I'm sorry, I'd quit Disney Star Wars at that point.
No, I don't think it can be. I think the chaos theory of slight changes ripple effects into massive changes has happened by this point, and that there's too much different for you to make a story that makes sense that is similar to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think that's the 2 Facebook questions.
And we had a revised list to go over.
Yeah, Peter,
it
who
came in my email.
Us,
we do take email.
Yeah, it was good. I was pleased. I checked the email and we had some. So it was back from Peter, and he thanked us for his help tweaking his double fire spraying hand list, and he looked forward to flying it on to Sean flying it on Vassal if he actually gets right into it. And he apparently, I keep saying that he won when it wasn't actually him for some of the older draws, so we were laughing about that. But then I'm sure he's actually sent me a list.
I'm already on yet another, and I've got at least Horne and 2 fire.
Okay, here we go. I found it. I knew. So this one is called Immortal Wombat, and it is a countdown with marksmanship. So it's an Imperial list. It is hyperspace legal. It starts off with a TIE Striker countdown with marksmanship, proton bombs, and skilled bombardier. Then Chad's favourite, Major Vermeil, with marksmanship, hull upgrade, tactical officer, and ISB slicers.
Ooh, I like that.
Gideon Hask with Duke, Merrick Steele with marksmanship, fire control, cluster missile, and munition failsafe.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that comes in at 200 points.
Well, no bid there. So, like, he's gone. Yeah. If I'm not going to get a bid, I'm just going all the way.
Yeah, it's
right.
A 5 for Merrick, and all the rest are 4s. Oh.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah. I get the theory behind ISB slices for Major Vermeil, because you strip the token, and the token, if they don't have it to start with, the jam token doesn't go away. But it rolls back into what I was saying about I like having some defensive mods. So if you're only going to use Vermeil as a wrecking ball, I think this is a decent build. I probably wouldn't put marksmanship on him because he's medium base, so it kind of gets trickier to line up after the initial joust. I would probably look at a crack shot, because
that's what I was thinking.
You might do it once, and then you're pushing damage through, whereas in marksmanship relies on you doing it multiple times before it overtakes crack shot. For countdown, I think that build is fine. Marksmanship, it's a 1-point upgrade. You throw in something on there. Proton bombs.
What else did he have on there? He had bombs on there too. Like he had
protons and the bombardier. Yeah. I'm always obviously you're not going to drop them when you're going to bump and like kill yourself, and the strikers are more than quick enough to get away after dropping them. But that's a chunky countdown, but it's countdown, so it should survive to actually get the munitions off. But again, I kind of just prefer what's it called? Crack shot to marksmanship at the moment.
Yeah.
Just because of ease of use, like you trigger it the first time you're physically able to, push some damage through, and then you never have to worry about bullseyeing anyone ever again. But I always feel like when I was running Predator on ships, stuff like that, I feel like I'm chasing the bullseye too much, which was leading me into suboptimal actual maneuvers, because that was one that was most likely to give me a bullseye, but it was actually just putting me in their arcs, and I was getting shot more. And
I found the same thing when I was running Suntir Fell, trying to do the same thing with him with that. It just didn't. You put yourself in bad positions.
Yeah. It's 4 ships. I really like 4 ship Imperials at the moment. I think the strikers add a lot of value to it.
What did Gideon have? I'm sorry, I'm building the list as we're going here.
Gideon had Duke. My assumption would be that he plans on coordinating onto Gideon more often than not.
Yeah.
So that you get the evade and the focus. If that doesn't work out on the table, it's a 5-point upgrade, taking Gideon to 35 points. I get wanting the initiative 4, but ultimately, where's she gone? I forgot her name. With the list you've got, probably Sienna Manara with marksmanship, ironically, is Old Wampa's ability, turning a hit to a crit. You would probably be better off there and giving yourself extra points. But yeah, he's all in on the marksmanship in this list, apart from on Gideon. I think the idea is that Gideon's shooting before the meal in the hopes of forcing them to, hard choice of do you spend a token? Because then when the meal shoots you, you're getting mods for the meal shot from like a blank to a hit. There's lots of
and then you're getting jammed up and can't take it off.
Yeah. I feel like Sian Manara with marksmanship saves you points on Gideon. Is that 31 points or 33? I can't remember.
If you put marksmanship on him instead.
No, if you drop Gideon and put Sienna Manara in there with marksmanship.
Same cost.
Same cost. Okay, so it's
so Gideon's 30 and so she.
Yeah, okay, so it's 31 points. That should free up enough points for a shield upgrade onto the meal rather than the hull, which is better because it can't get critted. And then I don't really know after that. Like,
how do you feel about Mark Steele on the list, though?
Merrick is really, really good, but he's flying a TIE advanced. It's like Vader, but without the Force. I would be tempted, because I flew against it a couple of times in the last month. I forgot the guy. His initiative 4, Vel Forso, something like that. You have to look it up, Ed.
Ved Falso.
Yeah. Has Juno equipped his old ability. Comes in initiative 4. Would free up even more points for... I don't know if you wanted to like get Duke on a couple more things or play around with the crew maybe. But that makes the dial a lot more functional on the TIE Advance, giving you access to hard 1 turns, changing around those K turns and Talon rolls as well.
Well, and then what it also does is it puts all of your pilots at initiative 4, and that does set up some interesting daisy chaining that you can do with individual pilots and where those go. There is some benefit to having all of your pilots floating at the same initiative because you never know what order they're going to go out of.
Especially when you're sitting at 1 initiative 5 with no bid. Like 5 is the most popular level to actually bid at. So whilst you'll be able to PS kill some ships at 5, I don't know that it's enough. And again, this really depends on your local meta, Peter. You know it much better than we possibly could of where the initiative values sit. I would be worried about the 4-ship resistance all coming in at 5. I feel like they could deny you a decent amount of the tricks actually kicking in, because they'll out-PS all of you and have a bigger bid, or have a bid. So you struggle to get those marksmanships lined up there. So, like I said, I'd be tempted to look at Sian Manara instead of Gideon. Put marksmanship there. swap your other marksmanships out for crackshot. If you want to keep Marek, marksmanship's fine because of Marek's ability, but you've got to remember you're converting a crit already. So you're converting a hit to a crit already with Advanced Targeting Computer from Matai Advanced. So you might be chasing a gimmick a little bit too much, would be my worry. You're going to be putting down a lot of crits, but I don't know whether you need that many.
All right. Good review. Thank you so much for submitting the list. We like doing these. This is a ton of fun. All right. So anything else to cover before we go?
I think that's the normal stuff is all we've got left. So Chad's spiel and then me thanking people and
absolutely. All right, well, let's get into that one. So I do want to thank everyone for joining us on the show. It's always a ton of fun. Chad, you've got your little spiel. By all means.
All right. Well, I thank everybody for listening, all the fans. We greatly appreciate it. If you want, contact us, Lack of Focus on Facebook. That's where we post up for listener questions, so keep an eye on that. As you've heard, we don't always necessarily record the same day, so turn on your notifications for us. Make sure that you're getting those so you can get your questions in. We do have a Lack of Focus podcast at gmail.com where you can email us, as the list was just emailed to us there. We are on the DiceHate YouTube page. Come watch us, do our little thing. We do video record these. You can see just how goofy looking Ed is. He is as goofy as he sounds.
More.
Yeah. So, like, if you are listening to us or you want to download us and you're just watching from YouTube, don't forget YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that crap. But we are on Podbean, Spotify, wherever you download your podcast. We're all there. And last but not least, if you want to get in on those great prizes and kind of help out that guy who's like footing the bill for everything, patreon.com/lackofocus would greatly be appreciated. As you guys have seen or heard from the show, we do like to reward you guys every once in a while if you're a part of that. So
every once in a while. I feel like we're giving stuff away every show anymore.
Well, hey, if you want to send us some stuff in to give away, we're glad to do that. We'll give it out to our Patreon people. And if you want to get random stuff from us, join us on our Patreon. You could do as little as like $1 a show if you want, and you still get, nice crap. So
I have an idea that I'll talk about off mic about the idea of listeners sending stuff in, but we'll go over that off mic. I do have an idea with what we could do with that one, by the way. Kris, I think that's up to you. You've got a couple of things you'd like to drop in as well.
Yeah, basically, I always echo what Chad says. I do really appreciate the Patreon donations that we get. It does help a lot. It covers the costs of the 2 different hosting platforms and the editing software that we use for actually putting the show together. And it helps cover the cost of the prizes, which I still end up losing money. So maybe if I didn't do a Patreon and didn't give stuff away, I'd probably come out on top. But this way definitely feels more fun. So I want to thank Paul LaRue especially. He reached out to me and said about sending some stuff in. And he said, don't worry about doing a sponsorship for a show or anything like that. Unlike we did for Bonnie and Specklich and Colton. I did that because I wanted to hear Ed try and say it after we spoke about it the other week. But Paul was really generous sending us some stuff, so thanks a lot. Make sure you check out his stuff. He also did our Facebook banner. He did a lot of the work for me on the DiceHate actual logo. So all of the stuff you see us using, a lot of it came through Paul. Oh, well, I should say all of the stuff that looks good came through Paul. So if you do need any graphic design work done, contact him. If you want a terrible eyeball in a no entry sign, that was me. Just message me for that, and I will butcher your logos for you. But I can't thank everyone enough. There's been different people reaching out to us, wanting to send stuff in. I'm still waiting for a couple of things to arrive, and I think we're going well. We're episode 19. We're
well into full swing now.
We've actually done 21 if you count episode 0 and the one that was unnumbered.
Mm-hmm. So, the love letter to old Nova Squadron Radio.
Yeah. So we're doing pretty well. I feel like we're growing all of the time, especially considering I do a terrible job of actually promoting us around social media. We post to our own page, we keep to ourselves. We're not trying to be invasive or make ourselves into a next great giant podcast. We're quite happy doing what we do, and we're glad that you guys listen to us and enjoy it as well. Definitely feels more like a close-knit family type thing with the fans who've been with us for years now, and I'm glad we're back. So thank you.
Absolutely. I echo those same sentiments. Sean, always good to talk to you, my friend.
Yep, great to be here, and looking forward to the next show, hopefully.
So one final thing I do want to toss in at the end here. Do I take the opportunity? It's good to know that the Vassal game that we played, as poorly as I played it, is up on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Do us a favor if you get the opportunity and take a look at that. Let us know if that's something that you'd like to see more of. Kris obviously has an event that he's going to this week, but I was kind of hoping of doing some inter-podcast league battle each other, maybe with listener-submitted lists against each other, which I thought would be a ton of fun. Plus, it means that we get to play more X-Wing against each other. And then, those that aren't playing can sit there and badger and tell the other one how badly they're flying. Thanks, Jed.
That's what I'm here for.
Exactly. So on Vassal, I think I may have said this off mic, but I think it reminds me of being at my local game store. I play X-Wing badly, and Chad's telling me how bad I play X-Wing. It's great. I love it. Except I get to do it with my good close buddies on the show, which is a ton of fun. So of course we've already tested doing that on Twitch. Is that something you'd be interested in seeing and tuning in for? And obviously we're recording those and posting those on YouTube. Is that something you'd be interested in doing? I think we're still going to end up doing it, knowing us, because we just love playing X-Wing and just hanging out with each other. But I'm kind of curious to see what you guys would think. Go ahead.
So I was going to say about the potential for us to actually do the live stream on Twitch as well. So we had voiced that a couple of times, but again, that's something that you guys will have to let us know if it's something you're interested in. If you'd like to watch us do this live, we're not 100% how the interaction would work on that. But when we did the game on Vassal, we live streamed that, and I've kind of got all of the audio bugs worked out, that we can do it through Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. I can't multi-platform at the minute because that unfortunately does cost more money. But if we were to do live stuff, let us know what platform you'd rather see us do it on.
I think Twitch seemed to be the least painful of all the ones, but maybe that was just the Facebook Live one that we did in that one. I do sort of like the idea of having the live studio audience kind of like doing it like it would be like an internet radio show of people tuning in and doing that. I think that's fantastic. So instead of taking call-ins, one of us would be probably a combination of all of us would have to monitor some of the comments and what was going on and kind of like, oh, that's a good point, and then kind of make sure that not everybody can read that.
And I think I can handle that. You saw the picture of my setup now, so.
Oh yeah, I know, with all your multiple screens, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll do the monitoring.
There we go.
Good, because I'm busy making fun of Ed.
All right, so that is going to do it. I am only 26 minutes past my hard stop time, but that's okay. We do it out of love. All right, so thank you guys so much for joining the show. We will see you next week. Kris is going to have a lot to come back from the Crate Cup. I'm really kind of curious to see how he does down there. So thank you guys for joining the show, and as always, fly casual. Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out DiceHate Productions for all of the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.